Okay. Namaste, namaste, family of light. Reverend Sharon-Elizabeth here, also known as Baba Sharone, at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light in Sarasota, Florida, in the United States. For many people, they're going to see this feed later on in their feed. But whenever you do, that know that it is the perfect divine time. A couple of things. What we have traditionally have always done is have a little chat before our anchoring light transmission meditation, which we have been doing for over 18 years, every Monday without fail, working with the ascended masters, known by many names. And so we consciously, it isn't like, gee, we hope our prayers are being heard, or gee, I wonder if this is really happening. We know it is. So we are the boots on the ground. That's what you can say. We have our beautiful light workers all coming in here now at the center itself, and we have our beautiful light workers that are here on Zoom, and of course, you beautiful light workers that are on Facebook live, or when you see this feed. So, a couple of things I did want to talk about that has come to mind. We are in the Great Awakening, and I would say that all of us, but there is something which I didn't know about, which I'm very grateful that Reverend Robin Richardson was the one that told me about. I've been doing us, all of us, going on our own personal journey, spiritual journey, unfoldment, higher consciousness. And I had mentioned before, I've been doing a really deep dive into the Gnostic Gospels, like seeing them in a whole different light, a completely different light. And some of you already know I shared with some of you that it was about a month ago, maybe, where I felt I was pixelated into like a trillion pieces and blasted out into the multiverse. And I couldn't remember people's names. I mean, it was really a thing. I was totally not grounded. And I just had to do a lot of sleeping. I just was so tired. I just had to sleep, sleep, sleep. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Am I ever going to come back? Well, of course I did, but what I experienced was a sense of understanding, knowing that I never had before. It's one thing when you intellectually understand something, it's another thing when you feel it, know it, sense it. It's a different thing. And I was explaining this to Robin and some of our other ministers, and it was Reverend Robin that says that is called gnosis, as described by the Gnostics. It's a real thing. It's a real, real thing. So, hi, sweetie, you could come right in here in the circle, okay? All righty. Welcome, welcome. Okay. I'm on Facebook Live right now, but afterwards we'll do a formal welcoming. So, yeah, that is a thing. You can look it up. And as I've did some research on it, it is, yeah, something that's where it's an inner knowing. And that is what we have to trust. This inner knowing, okay, because it's a big cosmic puzzle piece. And as you start to put it together, you say, okay, I kind of understand that, but then it goes into a higher level. Things that you might have heard when you were 4 now begins to make sense. It's like decades might pass, and you're beginning to see, understand things on a whole other level. Now, I will say this. In one of the Gnostic Gospels, and I don't remember which one it is, but I would recommend, if you feel so moved, to read the Gnostic Gospels. It is a different alternative with the early Christians wrote these things and hid it because, unlike today, just like today, there were certain things like you can't share that information. There was no freedom of speech. It's like it has to be this narrative, not that one. And they tried to destroy it. The authorities tried to destroy, burn, hide, kill, like you must follow this program. But there were those that risked their lives, obviously, to say this information is very important and precious, and we're going to have to hide it somehow. Right. Well, then the cycle of time coming around again has always been said at this time. All things that have been hidden will come to the light of day. And I am reminded, most people don't even know who Mani is. Mani, the prophet Mani. No one knows Mani. Okay, but I tell you who Mani is. That's where the word Manichaean comes from, the name Mani. Who's Mani? Mani, the prophet Mani. Look it up, Google it, do your own research. Everything I say, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Okay, but Mani had almost a whole, the entire world was under this one spiritual concept, because he included different people from different cultures and honored the different cultures, but saying, hey, what this, Jesus the Christ said, he's saying, look, this is not the real thing. There's something more beyond this. And that's what the Gnostic gospel is saying, that you hold the spark that comes from a very high aeon. You're not this physical body. This is an avatar body. You are something else. You're not your hand. You're not your face. Okay. You're not even your brain. Okay. This is an avatar that's being animated by something much higher. Now, this is what I want to say for critical thinking. There is the Hermetic principle that says, as above, so below as above. Now, just think about it, right? You look here now and you see that people have their own agendas. There's this whole thing of power. There's this whole thing of greed. There's this whole thing of control. No, that's happening right here. As above, so below as above. What might be happening up here? If you're thinking as an interdimensional being, no, you're not just this, but you're something way more, that there are higher parts of yourself, then you have to go, if this is happening here, could it be possible it's happening on higher levels? And according to Jesus the Christ, okay, and the Sophia and the Christ, and all these Gnostic gospels, they're saying, yeah, there is on the energetic level a service to self group. Clark, we may want a little cold, maybe just put it up a little. Thank you. There is a service to self group that says, King of the Hill, I'm in charge, and I like being in charge. I like having the power, and I don't want to release power. Who do you know? Okay, and somebody who is very wealthy and have power say, I'm going to give it up. Do you think Constantine gave up his power? No. Somebody's used to power and winning and I'm in charge, then they may disguise thing. But Constantine, the Roman Empire is still here. So is Babylon. So is old hate is still here. Really, if you go back and you look, nothing has really changed that much. Just different phases, different times, different people. But there has always been those, okay, that held the light of illumination in the darkest of times. There's always been those. Okay, and there's many legends about Sanat Kumara, and the Kumaras, and it was like, wow, I don't know, this planet is pretty dark. I don't know if we could even ignite a light. And they said, I'll come. Okay, I'll do it. 144,000, right? We'll come, we'll help out. It took 3 times, according to the legend of Sanat Kumara, to light on this planet. That's how dark it was. But lit it was. Again, there's always been those that no matter what, through persecutions, through all kinds of things, and all the wars and the illusion of separation and all of that, there was this spark of those that kept the light going. Who is that? Well, if you're hearing these words, that is you. That is us. And we have something very important to do. We've come into this world, and I know everybody can relate to this, to say, what's wrong with this place? Some of us from kids, like, oh my gosh. For myself personally, I was traumatized being here. Like, what? And I said, this is a big mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here, but apparently I am here for a reason, as all of us are here for a reason. We were here to continue to wake up out of the illusion, what the Hindus call Maya. It had an expression experience with the Divine Mother, and she showed like a vat of molasses. That's how thick the illusion is. Now they're calling it a matrix, right? There's many names of it: illusion, Maya, matrix. The new term is matrix. But it is so thick and heavy density. There are people right now in this world figure that this is it. Like, you come in, you do the best you can. I actually heard a story of a criminal, and the criminal had no problem um uh stealing from people and doing that really egregious thing to another human being, because his thought process is when you die, you're gone. Is he going to be surprised? But anyway, there are people who actually think that this is it. There are people that think that this, what we see here, is it, to the point of where they exit themselves out. And I want to say, no, 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 no. And as Jesus the Christ said, and other avatars of light, of the Buddha, he says, the attachment to this, you have to give up this attachment, because that's the thing that keeps you bounded. Even in Hindu, it says you are bound to a vine. This sense of we're not totally liberated, we're not all that we can be. There's something that is constrictive. And so, you start to do your research, and you start thinking, well, what kind of benevolence? Mark and I have discussions that kind of would permit, or, this continual suffering and gnashing of teeth. I mean, okay, we kind of know what that is now. Do we have to keep on going over and over and over like an endless loop? And there is a loop. There is a loop. And somebody, and it is us, ancestors are praying that the descendants could get everybody free into their sovereignty to break out of this loop. And that is where we are. We are in the precipice of many people now a mass awakening, saying, wait a minute. And when they're looking at things, they're saying, really, in all the literature, it talks about the Adam Kadmon in the Hebrew tradition. The Adam Kadmon is one of the highest aeons of light, made in El Elyon, the Most High God. Now, when you say Elohim, we hear Elohim, that's plural. Plural, it's not a singular, it's plural, meaning many gods with a small g, with a small g. And so now when you begin to say, okay, wait a second now, what am I aligning myself with? Okay, and begin to understand, now, wait a minute, I have power. Am I being used? Am I being used? Because there are people that have a problem on this level to use other people, am I right? Yeah. And so how could they do that? We couldn't do it. Were there other people who could? Oh, yeah. You'll learn that pretty quickly, pretty fast. So what if we do our critical thinking and saying, is this possible happening on this level? And are we being used for our light, for our creativity, and for all of that dynamic? And that is where you start to do the research. That's when you start hearing what the Egyptians had to say. What did the Babylonians have to say? What did the Hebrews have to say? Now, in the age of Aquarius, we can do a deep dive in everything, because now the age of Aquarius is where all this information is now accessible. You could go into the Library of Congress online. You can now go to gnosticgospels.org and read every Gnostic gospel, the Hammadi, as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls. And just saying, well, let me hear what these guys have to say that risked their lives to be murdered. If they were caught, they would be dead because they were considered heretical. How brave are they? And what about things that required? You look at history where it took courage and bravery to hold the truth, because there's something that want to snuff it all the time. What's with that? So now, in the cycle of time, I feel that light workers, wherever you are around the world, and I just, a friend that I know from the Academy of Future Science, he's from Cameroon. he's talking the same thing. Other people are talking the same thing, but they're getting like, wait a minute. Okay. We have power and we're not going to go along with the program. You don't want that. But guess who has the upper hand? We do. That's why there's been all of this manipulation to make us think we're less than, not worthy of, because if we ever tapped into the truth of who we truly are as a blazing, radiant light, okay, all this other stuff, you know what it reminds me of? The elephant, okay, that's been programmed as a little elephant with a little chain around its foot to a little stake this high. It grows up to be this amazing, huge beast. And all it needs to do is pull its foot and it will unleash itself. But it's been programmed to think it's less than. And this little stick with the chain has power over it. Has power over it. And it believes it until its death or until an elephant pushes it or something and it moves and it's like, what? You mean I've been stuck all this time? All I need to do is move it? So I think that's kind of like where we are right now, that there is this awakening and really going back and having the opportunity to do your research. And the other thing too is we have to now begin to trust our own intuition. I read something that I liked a lot that said, your gut feeling is your guardian angel. I love that. Your gut feeling is your guardian angel communicating to you. We have to now embrace it and not doubt it. We now have to say, okay, I know I'm a radiant being of light. I step into my power. Okay, and I trust the higher part of myself that is communicating and has always been there. I no longer going to doubt all those things I feel, but the society, my family, the company, the corporations, the employees, the politicians, the whatever, the ministers, the priest, the teacher, whatever says, no, you're wrong. It's this way. Well, trust your feeling because we've all been indoctrinated. We've all been indoctrinated, and now it's time to break those things that bind us and step out of the indoctrination. And I think one of the ways of doing that is questioning everything. Questioning everything. And then when you go down that journey, you begin to change the way you talk because sometimes you're saying sentences or quotations and you don't really know where the root of that comes from. And then you have to start to say, am I perpetuating something unknowingly? Unknowingly. So anyway, it's time to become fully conscious. I would tell everybody, it's time to become fully conscious and step into our power and know that we have the ability to move this planet and all of her life into a higher vision, into a higher mission and purpose. We have that ability, and let's start to do that. So with that, I'm going to say namaste to our family of light on Facebook Live. This is Baba Sharone. We will see you next time. I want to mention that next week, Monday, we're going to be in Phoenix, Arizona for the Academy of Future Science Easter conference. We will not be having a anchoring light in person. We always have a anchoring light transmission, but it'll be online only. So I'm going to put that out there right now. Namaste and see you next time.